marching to the top of the standings at the end of Friday's games. Here we go, Game 3, TSM versus Team Dignitas hits the rift.
Both teams, 2 tanks, or at least kind of pseudo-tanks if you don't want to count the Braum squad as a full tank, but Varus, Wild Turtle, going to be starting Longsword once again, so maybe this is the new standard. This may be the kind of development that we are going to find in the meta, as it has been both teams running it so far, and it can be one of those things where one kind of block of scrims is really doing this strategy and they're picking up and accepting it as the best, but different teams do not always scrim each other. A lot of these teams scrim the same group week in, week out. They're not always playing against every team in the LCS.
Yeah. I know there was a while back in end of spring, I want to say last year, where Cole start on AD carry was really popular, and it was, I want to say it was like Altec or Wild Turtle who just decided to start going Cole at the beginning of every game, and then suddenly everyone started doing it because it was working. They won like 5 games in a row, so just everyone went Cole for a week, and then they just stopped. And it was just like, all right, well, that was fun, but yeah, never mind.
And those meta shifts can feel very abrupt to the pro play viewer, right? But there was like 500 scrims in between when it started and where it stopped that we didn't get to see. Yeah. And it was probably established that, oh, okay, actually it doesn't really work because you can get ganked to Caesar die or whatever. But that is a lot of the stuff that kind of goes on behind the scenes. And, and there can be kind of different metas even within the NLCS based on who you're scrimming against, right? You know, there was a recent interview, players from P1 were talking about how, you know, TSM and Liquid and C9 kind of only like to scrim against each other. And that can lead to a situation where you have those guys with their own idea of what's the best way to play the games based on their results. And then you can have another group of teams who have their own idea of what the best way to play the game is based on their scrim results.
Yeah, it's usually very pronounced coming into playoffs, especially because they start squaring off on opposite sides of the bracket. Usually a patch hits, sometimes a small one, sometimes a big one, right before playoffs, and it's like, ooh, just kidding, it's TP Heal Mundo is the best top laner in the game, and half the teams are playing it, and they're on opposite sides of the bracket because they were scrimming together, and that was the best top laner.
Yep. And people can definitely get very tight-lipped around playoff time with strategies. So, Dignitas going to be shoving in their opponents here, looking to kind of try to poke them out, deny as much CS as they can under turret, and kind of get their advantage that way. We had seen a turtle get poked out in earlier games, forcing out those pots very early, and we'll have to track how he's doing in that regard this time. As Chaser may be looking for an early gank mid lane.
You can find the play. Not going to get spotted. Now gets seen, actually, and Bjergsen can tell he's there.
Sven is over the wall, too, and he's low.
Looking for the play onto this Kha'Zix. Has to leap away from his own jungle. Chaser getting a good side of that trade. Down to the defensive trinket, knows what's going on, though, and he's going to get actually control over the Raptors anyway, so no real harm or foul. Nice bind and a Biofrost. 8 gold for his troubles.
Yeah, not too much damage coming out from that. It's mostly about holding them in position for your AD carry to get a lot of that damage out in the early game.
Whoa, special, what was that? He walked forward for no reason. He's got no black shield.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh, gets the binding. It was a bait the whole time. Look at the damage in a Wild Turtle.
But that is, you do not want to trade into that. Lot actually, I think, lost that trade, funny enough, because there was so many range minions that had stacked up. There was like 6 or 7 minions turned to shoot him when he got his auto attack on Turtle. So it's something you really have to track. Law now does not have his potion. He does have the Doran's Blade for that sustain, but he has used his 1 potion, and Turtle still has 2 remaining.
Snipe on Dubik special. Yeah. See, he points at Law and then goes, just kidding, we're going to hit the Morgana after all. Biofrost puts up the shield until last hit a minion, takes a couple hundred damage. Not the cleanest situation. Now Chaser wants to get into the mix.
There is no ward here, so we'll see how heavily they want to actually commit to this, but it's just going to be a ward. Try to keep them safe. From the Kha'Zix, Svenskeren already had base and is heading down to bot side, so we'll see if that does come into play.
Yeah, Svenskeren just pinged his own Krugs. I don't know if it was like, hey, Rek'Sai might be here, or I'm just going to be on this camp. But sees that Rek'Sai has not touched anything.
This is actually really cute here too, a little move. But so, the Tribush was already warded by Chaser. Xpecial then walks over there to say that he's warding it, doesn't use his ward, and now their opponents don't really know that Chaser was down there on the map, right? Nothing is given away there. They know, okay, hey, it's warded, we can't go here, but they don't know that Chaser was there. The ward is still available for Xpecial, so that's something that they may not be able to actually track.
Right, because normally they'd see if someone trinketed later on, you know, if Xpecial walks over and wards it, but that doesn't quite matter now. Well, Svenskeren going to make his trip to the top side, revealed by a trinket though. So Team Dignitas knows Sven is in bottom river. Bjerg able to clear away the control board. No big problem here, and he's replaced by a trinket. That's actually out of the brush, though. It didn't turn invisible right away, so it actually won't see in the brush. If someone hides in there, they won't know. Oh, Biofrost! Shields the wrong way.
Always looks funny, but not the end of the world. Losing his last potion here. Haunter early roam to mid lane. Keen.
Ooh, Keen's gonna flash. No, the flash auto attack. A couple more goes in. There's the hook in as well. And he can't run away. First blood picked up. Beautifully executed. And now Someday gonna be joining the fight. But why even bother? Probably should have canceled TP. Losing a lot of health for that.
Definitely should have canceled TP. And that was so well played by Haunter. Keen wanted to reactively flash the hook. So Haunter flashes in. Immediate auto for the root. Has the hook for the follow-up. Miasma to follow that. Just so well coordinated. This is a beautiful roam here early on from Haunter. And there goes Keen, getting ready for that hook. Flash in, auto root, flashes out, easy hook now. No way to dodge it. Keen goes down, first blood to Bjergsen, and Someday way too late on that TP for that to matter. Now Haunter can even look for the repeat, right? He doesn't have TP to match. Haunter's 6. You can put a deep ward down bot and look for that sort of a TP as the first ultimate from Nautilus is exceptionally powerful.
Looking for the play right here onto Wild Turtle and Biofrost. There's a flash, the fight, it's a minion, it's special! Oh, that is a catastrophe.
Oof. Well, it's good for TSM that he didn't miss that because Haunter actually was TPing top lane right at the same time there. So does expend his TP. And Dignitas not able to get anything back just yet.
All right, just a 7 minion lead. Turtle, yeah. You're really not allowed to recall there. Maybe it was a bait the whole time, I don't know. Lot, of course, pretty low himself.
Oh, it's the repeat.
Uh-oh.
This is so smart. They know that Keen is summonerless. They're going to wrap around here. Almost no way to get out unless he can land this ultimate.
Oh, no, beautiful stun. Goodbye, he's dead. Svenskar gets the kill credit. Absolutely perfect. Bjergsen lands the stun. Not even a problem. Nice.
So well done by TSM. And it's funny to say that ganking for Bjergsen is a mix-up, but in the course of the series, it actually is. They've been focusing top lane very heavily, and as Keen finally has some confidence to play a little bit more aggressively in this third and final game, TSM goes right back to the tried and true. Ganking for this mid lane, and beautiful ultimate there from Bjergsen. Needed to nail the stun to cancel the ult. Is able to do so. Sven gets low on the exit, but not going to go down.
Special just fighting for wave control right now. Biofrost can't push it all the way in. He doesn't want it to freeze, but it will anyway, which is going to deny quite a bit of farm off of Wild Turtle. It was kind of an incomplete push.
Yeah. It's not going to be a full freeze, at least, because it's right by their turret, so the minion wave joins up
eventually push
and
out.
It will push back. But definitely, yeah, Biofrost would have loved to fully reset that and deny some of this wave. And eventually, they will be able to push it in.
This is weird. It's desynced bottom lane showings right now. See, Biofrost already recalled. He's got a sight soon. He can stay in lane. Special on a very late recall leaves this Ashe alone for a very long time.
Yeah, he certainly does, and there is that vulnerability. But the trade-off obviously being Vlad gets some more CS. In this scenario, though, TSM makes a great call to react. They know Special had a late base. He cannot possibly be there for the Infernal, so they make the call knowing they will have the odd numbers in a fight and get a free Infernal.
Really easy, really clean pickup.
They just have looked like a different team in the last 2 games. TSM has been doing everything right in the last 2 games.
Definitely agree. So looking so much better. 900 gold in the lead, 2 kills up. All this is wonderful now for TSM fans. They finally got a team who's playing nothing like they have earlier in this LCS split.
I mean, mid lane is really a problem. When you look at the farm, you look at the kills, you look at the summoner advantage, this can just keep happening to Keen. He's not playing with Cleanse. He's playing Ghost. He gets caught by anything, he's just going to die, and they can keep looking to make these roams and really get mid lane out of control. And we've seen Bjergsen carry games so many times. He's been given the perfect position to carry from.
Absolutely agree. Unless Someday can keep Haunter pinned down and Chaser can find a way to pin out Svenskar. I mean, right now, Chaser does have a level lead over his opposite member in the jungle. Theoretically, Chaser could try to control this Rek'Sai, or control this Kha'Zix, rather. We'll see. Both blue buffs handed off almost the exact same time. Bjergsen walking back in the lane at 8. Sven finally level 7 for himself.
I mean, Chaser went for Tiamat early on. He's going to be able to power farm. He's not monogated whatsoever. Sven is going to run out of mana. It slows him down. He's going for a warrior. It's kind of more about the burst than the AoE speed clear. But obviously, you know, TSM has been making those trade-offs, getting kills elsewhere. And
Oh, that's so cute. That sapling right there. Watches for the satchel play.
oh, they're going for it anyway, though.
He has a head
Chaser's
start.
coming.
Flash. Ooh, tried to predict the hook, but Someday makes sure to flash still toward the wall. And flash for not required flash, I suppose, but it still means pressure over the top lane. TSM swap the lanes. They're going to rush for this turret, and, well, they're out of minions right now. They've got to buy a few more seconds. Yeah, should be okay. First turret of the game. Once again, a TSM, and I believe that's all 3 in a row they've gotten this.
This is like a lane swap move. You don't really see those bot lane rotations to top before a turret goes down that often. And I really like that play, the mix-up from TSM. And they're going to keep pushing because Dignitas' bot lane has not based.
We used to see us play a lot in summer LCS playoffs, right when the change came out. Yep. You had teams like CLG at 6 minutes every game. Everyone go top lane, knock the turret down ASAP, rush for the first turret gold, and they were strategies aimed at just acquiring that money. Vlad will be given solo gold in the bot lane outer turret, but it won't be that same influx of free gold from getting the first one, but he's going to die as many minions as he can. And finally, this turret will fall.
He also, significant CS advantage for him, so they're going to be playing a lot around Vlad, trying to funnel him that gold, see how strong this guy can be. And we do know that there's an opportunity on Ashe to really kind of turn around some of these plays, to look for some picks. But Bjergsen is taking the more kind of conservative summoner spell. He's playing cleanse while Keen is not, and Keen has already been punished for that.
That's the case. In team fights, you'd think Black Shield would be enough, but it was 3v1 with no Morgana to be seen. I do want to point out the fact that Team Dignitas, I think, are playing this early game pretty well. Despite being down to first turret gold and 2 kills, the gold difference is only 600, so farm-wise, and that's a lot of it being Chaser and a lot of it being Lod right here. Of course, propped up by the turret gold, granted.
Yeah, top lane heavily winning in CS, bot lane heavily winning in CS. You know, they're up in CS in the jungle, so it's trade-offs, right? Who is going to make the most of their advantages? Is it going to be TSM funneling all of this into Bjergsen? Can they continue to snowball this game and look around?
Ooh.
Nice.
Wow, that landed. Flash gonna hook, gonna land the knock-up as well. Chaser here, but it's a
turret aggro
versus 4. Biofrost gonna lose his life, just maybe. The final shot comes through, and Chaser flashes to safety. 1 for 0. Turtle dangerously low. Chaser gotta run away from this one. Still advantage Team Dignitas. They survive out of the turret.
Yeah, Turtle nails that ultimate, but Biofrost did not have turret aggro, so Turtle had to back up. Couldn't actually get a lot of damage out during that CC chain. And as a result, it's Biofrost going down. And Dignitas come out positive on that play, keeping it very, very close.
And a lot of resources and effort used to try to make that play happen. Now Someday has a nice big wave to catch in the top lane to get farther ahead in golden XP. He's going to clear out the mid lane, but looks like someone can't answer that soon if Chaser walks over. TSM trying to be a bit more aggressive. That one did get turned around.
Certainly did. I like the proactive plays, though. I like the confidence to be able to do that. You need to be able to go for these plays. At Dignitas, they were up to the challenge this time. They answered it very well. So here it is once again. Turtle actually is the one with the turret aggro. So you'll see he has to back out, isn't able to get a lot of damage out during this time. And Keen so fast on the roam. Maokai coming in from behind. And they were lucky to not lose more here, as Turtle was exceptionally close to going down. I think Someday could have taken him down with the ultimate pop and then backed off, but didn't want to risk trading his life for it, and makes the conservative call. Dignitas answered the play very, very well.
Yeah, defensible choice by Someday. Just, you're right, could have been a kill if he chose the riskier one, but we're back on equal gold now. That 1 kill and the minion waves being equaled means TSM, all they have to show for themselves is this Infernal Drake lead. Nothing to completely ignore, but not the early game they had last game for sure, and Team Dignitas have a plan. They don't have this hope you win laning phase Jace pick. They've got solid team fighting. They've got a 30 minion lead Ashe, Lod building for full damage. They've got the tools they need to win this game.
They definitely do, and they also have great initiation for their front line through the Rise ultimate. When you get extra ranks in this Rise ultimate, you can use that as a flank. You can drop the Rise ultimate, have Chaser, have Someday hop into this as Lod's firing in the arrow, Special's firing and bindings, and you can really kind of clamp down on a team and try to take out the carries.
See how good the clamps are. See if they can knock him down. Lod's still going to clear the waves. You've got, of course, the lane swaps have come through. This is the standard pro-level mid-game, and to be honest, any of you guys playing at home, it is worth trying to get these lane assignments yourselves as well. Send the dual lane to the mid lane, let the support roam easily, and hope your mid laners have ways of side laning.
This is a big dragon here. TSM would love to snowball the game, take their second one. Haunter late to the party, though.
Not going to get it.
Not going to get it.
Early smite doesn't matter, though. Black Shield makes it all fine. They walk away from the Winter's Bite. TSM, though, first in the mid lane. Drake for tempo is not always the best play. This turret could drop. Vlad maybe find an arrow, looks for it, hits onto Haunter. The tank is going to survive. Binding not going to be in range. Anchor's going to miss. The ulti just going to slow down someday. But that was Drake for tempo, and that tempo turned into a mid-lane tier outer turret.
TSM makes the right call to not go for the dragon after Haunter was late. He didn't have his TP, was too slow to get down there. They would have loved to try to snowball the game off of that, though, but Dignitas makes a good call, takes the dragon, and TSM is going to be able to trade back with the best that they can, and that's that mid lane turret. So really, right back to the kind of beginnings of last game where the two teams were trading back and forth really well, trying to take advantage of any opportunity that they are given.
See what they can get for this one. 800 gold lead TSM. Tools to work with. Yomu's Ghostblade done on Wild Turtle. Tiers still stacking. It's going to be a while, to be fair. 3 tiers total in this game to stack up.
I actually quite like the fact that they have the Varus, the spellcaster Varus, paired with a Cassiopeia.
Yeah.
Because Cassiopeia really does kind of take the place of that AD carry with the consistent damage. You know, a lot of times you're looking at compositions with spellcaster Varus against the Maokai, and you're like, how do you actually kill the Maokai?
Yeah.
Well, in this case, there's a clear answer, and it's Bjergsen. When he gets to his spell penetration, he is going to be able to pump out that damage and deal with something.
Absolutely. We'll see if we can make that happen here. As they keep playing the wave clear game, and Turtle able to spam abilities constantly. Law doing a good job of dodging away from the poke. Notice Special is playing towards the back. He has no offensive plays to make. There's no reason to be in range of an arrow or anything. Let's just save the black shield for Lod. Give him only one target. I can shield it no problem. And Special playing that little microcosm of the matchup appropriately.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of how you kind of play Tahm Kench support.
Right.
You don't want to be the guy who gets CC'd. You want to protect the guy who's going to get CC'd. And TP coming in from Sunday. Dignitas looking for a play.
Looking to flank
Are they
Bjergsen,
too
maybe
spread out?
Scarin. Someday walks through a ward, says, hello, Sven. You went this way, but I want to find you. Stealth and a jump, and here comes the flash. The flash going to land. Nowhere is Sven to go. Kill picked up. Bjergsen running and gets away with it. But the TP turns into a kill, turns into map control.
It's just one kill, though, and Haunter is pushing on the top side. Nice TP play from Someday. We'll see if TSM can equalize. So far, though, good play. It cost a couple summoners.
Yeah, it's going to cost 1 wave of XP and gold as well, so it slightly diminishes the value of that kill.
The question just becomes, it's worth it right now. It's a good play for Dignitas right now. Can Haunter get something better with his TP? If he can't, then well played by Dignitas.
That very nearly could have been a kill and a Biofrost. I don't know if Law didn't have his ulti up or if the Trinket Ward weren't down at the time, but Biofrost nearly got caught out. Special almost canceled him with the Tormented Soil. The TP advantage is the name of the game now for Haunter. Can he find that teleport flank? Again, thankfully for Team Dignitas, Black Shield is really good at stopping Nautilus tricks.
It certainly is.
But only on one person.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what it comes down to when you're playing against Morgana. Can you kind of fake like you want to initiate on one person, bait out that Black Shield, and then go for someone else, you know? Someday can run in, hook towards one person, Black Shield goes there, ultimate's the second target, and that is your true kill target. It's similar to how Threshes have to play that matchup. You know, flash on one person, flay them, they get the Black Shield, then you try to hook the other guy, that kind of thing. So, gonna have to track how these two teams play around it. So far, Someday having Haunter pinned down in the top lane, and he's really gonna be looking to track Haunter, not allow him to kind of get a good TP play off. And
yeah. I want to also talk about the way one interaction is going to work, which is Varus ultimate against Black Shield. You would kind of think in your head that the Varus ult spreads from the target, and if they have Black Shield, of course, they're not rooted. Well, that radius doesn't change. The radius of spreading to other champions does not move with the target. That ring stays in the ground regardless, no matter what. So if you Black Shield someone who gets Varus ulted and they walk away, they're not dragging the chains with them to the rest of the teammates. You're not making their retreat suddenly horrible. So it's actually a pretty Morgana positive interaction that you can just have them, everyone can walk backwards and nothing even happens.
So we'll see if Special is getting up to the task, get some quick ones on that. Scarin on the side, TSM looking for a play, but Someday is coming down to support his mid laner.
That's going to be a TP-less Someday, of course, as well. Haunter can mirror that play, and this is kind of how you have to play TP-less top laners sometimes. You've got to predict where the play might be. He has 20 seconds to play with. You know, he shoved the top lane wave in already. He has to get back top lane eventually, but in the meantime, make sure you're in the right place in case something does happen. And now Haunter says, I don't have ward control anymore. It's entirely dark in this northern jungle. There's literally 0 TSM wards up there. Haunter feels safe enough to get one more wave, but he can't get much more, as Someday will return to that fight.
And he gets it shoved to the turret, and that's kind of the key thing there for him. So no freeze is able to be set up, nothing like that. The wave will always bounce back to him. And so far, Dignitas has done a good job not exposing themselves, not offering up that TP play. And there's only about 20% left on that cooldown for Someday. Dignitas has made it through the woods for the most part. We'll see if Haunter can kind of capitalize on these closing seconds where he does have his TP advantage.
50 seconds, so 21 minutes in, just a couple of seconds, that TP is going to be back.
I really like to point out from you two about how Someday is playing it. You can see him roaming towards mid lane. Ooh, where could he TP? Maybe there. I'll walk down, walk right back up in time to catch the mini wave. You don't lose anything from making those moves because he's always getting to the place he needs to be to collect the mini wave as well. So this is a small thing, but if a play gets called, he's going to be there.
And you can see the way the rest of the team is playing. Look how far back they are. Every single one of them on their side of the map. No one's even in sight range of the river, but that means that TSM gets ward control. They get to set up around this mountain drake. They've already got their own wards down. Team Dignitas have no vision, that ward notwithstanding, granted, but there's no one in range to stop this. So, you know, some of the defensive plays that were required via that TP play, under perfect play, just manifests in TSM retaining ward control and getting a Drake for it.
And that's something that you can kind of link way back to that TP play. This is part of the cost almost that has been expended, but Someday has his TP back up. Can be looking to make some of those plays. Once again, he has been spectacular with his TPs, really shining on the tanks as well as the Fiora.
Yeah, typically. Quick knockdown in the cannon. 50 gold for Biofrost. Richest support in the game, I would guess.
I don't know, man. Morgana gets
500 gold up.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, 500 gold up, even despite the death and the assist. Just because Specials had to play pretty defensively, and Biofrost been pretty on point getting relic stacks.
I, the Watcher, sometimes can net so much gold from Morgana if you're able to actually just kind of consistently proc that out.
Yep. But Biofrost almost doubled what he's earned with just the tier 1 gold item.
That's very impressive.
Yep. If he were Thresh, it'd be way harder. Last leading's just much more difficult in that champ, but...
Yeah, and any range support, you're obviously going to have to exactly nail that last hit with the Targons. You don't get the execute that a melee champion would.
Wild Turtle again going Edge of Night after his Youmuu's Ghostblade. Still going for the lethality build. I actually want to check. Turtle does not have any other lethality in runes. Some players would choose to do so. Not him. That's fine.
Ooh, look at that Q.
So the Flash follow going to find a Wild Turtle. Engage fight is here. Biofrost going for the knockup. Dodged by Lod. Black shield on anyway. Biofrost running away. Arrow's already been used. Special dangerously low, but the kill still comes through on Biofrost. Someday clearly much tankier as a top laner.
Yeah, Someday able to nail that, but now comes Haunter. Can they turn around? Lod gets caught!
On a lot. He's got no way out of this one. Not going to land. Also going to look for Keen, but Black Shield, timely by Special, as a trade of a bot laner for a support, ends up being positive for TSM.
Good Black Shield, but really nice ult from Haunter. So he knew that Lod would get hit by the ultimate passing through him to go to Keen. So he ults the back target. A little bit of a mastery play there from the Nautilus. Always smart to try to maximize how many people he can hit with that stun.
Absolutely, and TSM once again retaining map control. And the thing is, these mini waves have already been on Team Dignitas' side, so it's real easy to shove into the turret and just retain all the vision the way you want it. Chaser can't see Bjergsen to knock him up or stop the recall, so it's going to be the reset for TSM.
Yeah, Someday looking to make plays once again, gets in on the Turtle, but Biofrost able to block up the Ash Arrow and the Morgana Binding, keeping Turtle alive, and Dignitas going for that chase down. They do eventually pick up Biofrost, but because of his good play, the rest of his team does stay alive, and now Haunter flanking in, catches Lod. You'll see he ults through, knowing it's going to hit both, knocks him up, Lod goes down. Keen will get out, but...
Yeah. And that was actually a big misplay by Lod. One, he stayed to kill the minion wave. He's like, all right, it's 5v4, we're good, we got this game. And it's like, well, but Haunter's coming to flank you. And he lost a lot of time. And then he also flashed when he was guaranteed to die. He flashed like basically during his death as Haunter ganked him. So some missteps by Lod. He could have saved a bit more of himself. But again, 1 for 1, TSM controlling the advantage, 1,500 up. You can see how much damage Sven can deal.
It's a big deal, though, because if you do have Ashe without that flash for the next team fight, you can get picked on, especially a lot easier by Svenskeren on the Kha'Zix, who's going to be looking for those deletions. And they're going to have to play around it once again. It's kind of like playing around their TP disadvantage. They have to play around the fact that their AD is down on flash a little bit. Oh, Turtle gets caught.
A lot of damage. Flash, knockup, but there's no follow, and the damage isn't there for Chaser. No one else wanted to do the damage because the rest of the team was coming in. Lod cutting back, trying to stay alive. Here comes Sven for a bit more. Flash to follow. It's a special down. Chaser going to drop as well. Kill goes to Biofrost.
Bit of revenge on that one, and someday not long for this world either. Quick kill pick up. 3 for 0 TSM. A great hook on Nakeen. Make it 4 for 0. Beautifully done by TSM.
And that should be the Baron. This isn't even the worst of it. TSM, 4 kills for 0. Decimate the fight. Will go straight to Baron. And almost no chance to take that, as started like a pick for Dig, but got turned around with him so hard.
And look at that, the fact they couldn't get the kill. TSM now allocating the resources. Bjerg's gonna take down mid lane tier 2. They don't need him to kill off the Baron. An easy pickup here for Sven. Heals himself up with the Void Spikes, and down it goes Baron, and a 6,000 gold lead for TSM.
Really big for TSM, as they have looked good these last 2 games. Dignitas trying to make plays, trying to get those picks, but it is turned around on them, and here is how it started out. With ultimate there from Turtle, Lod nails his, but Haunter zoning out the carries.
And Special shielded himself on accident, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, Lod is just getting pushed out of the fight, and Biofrost is protecting his carry. Chaser is isolated, he gets taken down. There's no threat from the backline, as Lod is way too low. So Someday is just gonna have to sacrifice his life. Then Keen hanging around way too long. He's gonna get hooked in by Haunter, and good grab by him. That's another kill. And really, that was some great team fighting from Haunter. A lot of credit deserved by him to zone the carries and trust your backline to survive against the tank Rek'Sai.
Yeah, the fact that Lod's getting zoned out so easily despite having a black shield on your team, like that's a really free chase in to kill the Varus off, but being flashless, being afraid of Bjergsen roaming back in, he runs away, special black shield's the wrong target, and you know, all the health bars went down at that point, so it's TSM definitely executing much more cleanly, looking to ride this game home, and it's sub 30 minutes. They've got a sizable lead pretty early on.
And they can even look to utilize their TP, as Haunter has TP advantage. He's shoving in bot side, but they could try to set up the TP play top side if they want to go for that. You know, anytime Haunter backs off, Dignitas' top lane has to be very careful. They have to watch out for these TP flanks, because Someday can't match.
Definitely cannot. You got to watch out for that. Baron buffs on all the members of TSM makes it pretty easy to keep the push going. They split up pretty sizably. Dual lane heads to the top side. That's going to be an easily taken turret. I don't believe there's an answer available.
No, certainly not.
Yeah, Sven's here. That's done for. Lead expands. TSM can look for a little bit more. All the tier 2 turrets gone except for the bot lane. And that's not going to be much longer either.
Yeah, exactly. I think that one's going to be going down next. As Someday has backed off, I think at this point he knows he needs to group up with the team and try to make a play, try to get a pick. They need to hit someone with the Ash Arrow, the bindings, and take someone out, because otherwise, it's looking grim.
Light Arrow hits Biofrost. Don't know why he even looked for it there.
Bio catches both. Good job by him.
Disengaged regardless. There we go. Bot lane tier 2 gonna fall, and if you're trying to pull the trigger off Haunter being bot lane, they needed Someday close to the lineup there. Starting to see some cracks in the Team Dignitas armor. Oh no, he gave away local gold. Haunter, not greedy apparently, wants to join the mid lane.
Yeah, I think it's the right call. Move over. That's the only way that something can really go bad there. Haunter was jumped onto by Someday, but not much threat of damage there. Wants to stick around the team. Knows that really for Dignitas, it's a desperation engage or it's backing off here. They don't have their pick tools. That turret has one hit on it. I think Dignitas will just back off.
There we go, taken down by the minions themselves, not even champions. It's already knocked that one out. Hook's gonna land on a Someday. Can be quickly killed. The stun's there. The ulti's pop has to flash out of the team fight. Brummel tags just the tree, trying to knock him up. Black Shield lets him walk away. That's still mid lane inhibitor taken out. TSM furthering their control.
And look at top lane. They prepped the wave. It's right there at the turret. TSM makes the easy rotation. Baron buff of the minions, working on this turret as well. They're going to get it, no problem.
Somebody's healed back up. Ulti's still on cooldown. They've caught up the Chaser. The engage comes in. Keen's popped right away. Chaser's going to be next for that one. 2 for 0. Special for the third. Look at the damage up, but they've got Lot forced away. Bjergsen actually kills him with the poison. 4 for 0, and Someday is going to go down next. The clean ace, 5 for nothing. TSM went from 3 to 3 in kills to 12 and 3. The Baron, the entire base, the series itself, and TSM will improve to 2 and 1. Crushing Team Dignitas under their heels, saying, how dare you power rank them above us? TSM, trajectory upwards.
Definitely a strong upward trajectory for TSM. They look great. They make the last 2 games look easy, severely outclassing Dignitas in games 2 and 3, and they have got to feel good about this one.
And Haunter biases our stats. Rabadon's death cap, 100% win rate on Nautilus as he recalled back, sold the items, and bought new ones and TP'd into the fray. Of course, he was a tank this game. The post-game stats